So, but what I have found is that what's going on here and why it is in the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments set the stage for what sort of nation Israel is to be. And so it begins with proper worship, and now it begins with the proper ethics. And so this is a significant commandment. I've really been struck with that over the last week. I want to start with, if you are familiar with this term, DINK. DINK means dual income, no kids. Basically what you have is two individuals, say a man and a woman, get together, married, cohabitating, whatever sort of stuff they decide. And they both work their jobs, and they pull their incomes together, and they decide they want to live for themselves rather than raise a family. I'm sure you've noticed that raising children is expensive. I joked with some of our young men recently. We were going to go watch Superman or Fantastic Four or whatever, and one of our guys, he likes to go to the nice theaters. And I like to say, well, I like to go to nice theaters too, but I've got a wife and kids, you know, and if I can save $2, I'm going to save it. I said, this guy, he's working, and he's making what I called husband money. You know, husband money is money enough to have a wife and settle down. And then someone asked, well, what is father money? I'm like, well, no one knows. I don't think there is an amount you can make to raise kids, right? They're, you know, no matter how much you make, you can't afford them. But what I want to point out is how this movement across the country is gaining speed, so much so that we are at the midst of a population decline in America. You think things are bad now. There is no solving a lot of our issues, particularly systemically, if there is a decline in population. So enjoy your retirement. I won't have one. There won't be enough people working to provide me retirement. Among other things, have you noticed how difficult it is to find workers? Everywhere you go, there's not enough plumbers, not enough electricians, not enough doctors, not enough teachers, not enough painters, not enough whatever, waitresses, not enough, yeah, guess why? We are in the process of a declining population. Well, I came across this article on a website called Kinship. It is a website dedicated to raising animals. Here it is, the headline, The Rise of Dinkwads. Stick with me. A dinkwad is someone who is dual income couples who will do anything for their dogs. So here's the article. Move over, dinks. There's a new kid in town. The acronym DINK, a.k.a. dual income, no kids, has existed since the 1980s. But recently it's been overshadowed by the dinkwad, dual income, no kids, with a dog. There can be all sorts of reasons why couples choose the dinkwad life, from the freedom to travel whenever they want to more disposable income or knowing that kids don't feature in their life plans. On TikTok, hashtag dinkwad now has over 4.1 million views as pet parents embrace the lifestyle and the label. For families with kids, dogs are sometimes expected to slot into daily life, but dinkwads will happily plan their lives and where they live around their dogs. Houston, we have a problem. Now, I like animals. I got a dog, and we got a cat too. But I got a dog, and I love our dog. The cat's fine. But like, there's nothing wrong with having animals. But you can go to most major cities, and there are more animals in the cities than kids. We have a family issue. The decline of the family lies at the core of most of the issues we're having today. And right in the middle of the Ten Commandments is one that addresses that very issue. Given that it's a pretty straightforward command, I just want to throw out a few random thoughts. This is the order in which I thought of them. So it's not going to be alliterated or anything like that. Here's the first one, the command. First one is, this is the second positive command. Actually, it's the last positive command. The other is regarding the Sabbath. When we think of the Ten Commandments, we think of thou shalt nots. There's two that aren't. One is remember the Sabbath. The other is honor your parents. The others are the thou shalt nots. Do with that information whatever you want. I came across it, didn't know it, thought I'd share it. Secondly, this is not directed exclusively at kids. This is one of the biggest mistakes we make, that the primary audience of the Ten Commandments are those who are adults. We usually apply this only to children. It's a way to say, now kids, are you doing what your parents tell you to do? You know God says, you know, honor your father and mother. But actually, we'll see that this is a much broader point, that we must always honor our father and mother, and not just until the day they die, but even beyond. I shared the story with you before. A friend of mine, I really like this. He put his son went out on his first date. So let's say they're the Smiths. So he would write CSC or CSM, Christian Smith Man. As a reminder that you are a Christian, and with that comes certain expectations, responsibilities. Secondly, you're a Smith. That's a family name, and you ought to honor that family name. Don't bring shame upon it. And the other is you're a man, and there are expectations upon that. I like that. It's a good reminder that we carry our parents' name upon us, and their legacy and reputation and everything. So it's not just for kids. Thirdly, this command opens the second category. We've mentioned this 100 times before. Don't want to belabor the point. First 4 commands regard proper worship. The last 6 commands regard proper application of ethics, morality, and loving your neighbor. So love God, love your neighbor. This is the first of that second category. Now that is significant. I do think the order matters. Remember that if you keep the first commandment, you'll keep all the others. If you keep the last, you'll keep all the previous. I think you could say that those who honor father and mother are highly unlikely to violate most of the other ones. In fact, I think studies are showing this. Pick a prison, any prison, and what are the rates of fatherlessness there? Or a broken home? Significantly high. Now, it doesn't mean every inmate grew up in a fatherless home. Not at all. But it is rather significant, the numbers. Go to juvenile delinquency. What percentage of those come from broken homes? It's a very, very high number. You can do this across the board. Out of wedlock pregnancies, not graduating from school. You can just go down the list, and you can find there's one common area, and it's almost always broken homes. Almost always broken homes. So I think that, for the most part, those who honor mom and dad probably aren't going to commit some of the more obvious ones. You know, the next one is murder, and then it's adultery, and then it's stealing. Yeah, there are outliers, of course. There are outliers, no doubt. But, it does stand to say that if dads were in the homes, because moms usually are, if dads were in the homes, our crime rate would drop dramatically in America. And our graduation rates would go through the roof. We wouldn't be in the debt that we are. We have greater financial responsibility, so on and so forth. So this will, I believe, set the stage for the rest. Fourthly, this command, I don't know what to do with this. It mentions fathers and mothers. A lot of people, particularly in modern world, will pick on the Bible for sounding patriarchal. But this one, it says, honor your father and your mother. It is both. And do with that whatever you want. I think it's very clear that how we treat our parents matters in society. Fifthly, I want to look at the word honor, this word honor. The word at its core means heavy. So let me give you a few examples here. In 2 Samuel 14, when Absalom cut his hair, for at the end of every year he would cut it, this is the word we translate honor in the Ten Commandments. It was heavy on him. And he weighed it 200 shekels by the king's weight. The word means heavy. I'll give you another example in 1 Kings. This is when Solomon dies and Rehoboam takes over. And so a group of young advisors come to him to complain. They had grown up with him, said, "Thus you should speak to this people who said to you, your father made our yoke heavy, taxes and whatnot. Lighten it for us." So here the tax rate was high. It was a heavy tax rate. It's the same word right there used for honor in the Ten Commandments. Just to give you one more example, Lamentations 3. By the way, I want to come back to this. The language literally says, your father heavied our heavy yoke. It uses heavy twice, which that's not good English. But it puts emphasis on the heavy. Same thing here in Lamentations 3. He has walled me about so that I cannot escape. Literally, he has heavied my heavy chain. So I couldn't break loose from my chain, and then he just added weight to it. It's the word for honor, or really honor comes from the word heavy. We saw something similar a few weeks ago in our study of glory. Glory carries with it the idea of heavy. In fact, the word honor here and glory are very similar. It's a difference of a single vowel. And remember that Hebrew has no vowels. We've added those later. So the inflection is the difference. But its root word means heavy. And so it's connected with glory. Now, when it's used in the negative sense, the word can be translated burdensome or dull or severe, or even the word like harden. Think about it. Pharaoh's heart, it became heavy, hardened. And it's the word used for honor. So in the negative sense, it just becomes like a rock. By the way, if I can add a little footnote here, it has nothing to do with anything. That idea of Pharaoh's heart become hardened is an interesting idea. In Egyptian mythology, when a person dies, their heart is put on a scale and is weighed against a feather. If you're a good person, you have a light heart. If you're a bad person, you have a heavy heart. So what does God do to Pharaoh? He hardened his heart. He brings judgment upon him. And not just upon him, but upon his nation. And many scholars think that what's happening there is a play on that mythology, almost like a mockery of it. Oh, you think because you're Pharaoh, you have a heart that is light. I'm going to make it hard, and you're going to be the most stubborn person in all the land. And your stubbornness is going to lead to a lot of suffering. But in the positive sense, the word heavy can mean numerous, rich. It can mean honorable. And so a person who is weighty or is worthy of honor is someone whose influence and importance is larger than others. I bet you've met people who have a heavy way about them. They come in and all the attention goes straight to them. They're charismatic. Maybe they have a large appearance. Maybe their voice booms. There's something weighty about that person. And that's the idea that you have here. So you are to lift them up, make them heavy, give them, honor them. You are to lift them. That's the idea. And now, with that said, honor brings with it, that's not what that is supposed to say. With that, yeah, there we go. Honor implies authority and superiority. Now, Scripture does promote ontological equality. That is, that we at our very core are equal with one another. So it doesn't matter your position, your wealth, your whatever. We are all equal in God's eyes. Though true, that does not make us universally egalitarian. What it does mean is that we recognize authority, we recognize leadership and responsibility, and we understand that there is a hierarchy in society. And so whenever we choose strict egalitarianism in the home, it's created a mess, hasn't it? Why is it that moms and dads are afraid to discipline kids? That's a problem, isn't it? Have you noticed that? I came across a study recently. It may have been in my study of this. Actually, I know it's in Dr. Mohler's book on the Ten Commandments. So this was written 10 years ago, something like that. And he says that at that time, 75% of CEOs in large companies have been spanked. Do with that information whatever you want. Yeah, Don.
Doing a after-school bus thing,
Mm-hmm.
and one girl come on there, very polite, respectful, and everything. And I just blurted after her, I said, "Your parents spank, don't they?"
Yeah.
She wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
When she got off the bus, she said, "Yeah, they do."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it showed.
Yeah. So I want you to think about if you're called to honor someone else, there's a recognition this person is elevated in some way, right? That's the whole point of honoring someone. And in this situation, what you have is mom and dad have a level of authority that is above children. Now, why is that so important? Because at a societal level, if you have not been raised to honor mom and dad and to submit to their authority, you will by no means submit to the authority of anyone else. Like teachers, police, the law, the church, anything.
You think though they actually kids and dad and stuff like that is because there's no biblical evidence
Oh, yeah.
There's no reason
Yeah.
to be honorable about anything.
Yes. So this is an area that men are not better at, but are more helpful in regarding hierarchy. Women are more egalitarian. Women are really good at community. They're just excellent at that. I've given this example before. What does Grandma want for Christmas? Everybody to come over. That's all she wants. If she can get a photo with the entire family, she's the happiest person in the world. Whenever everyone does go over to Grandma's house, and there's 40 of them there, and there's no room for everybody to park, she's the happiest person there. Women are so good at that. Women get together, and they're so good. Men are hierarchical. They function in a hierarchy really, really well. And so if you join a sports team or something, you're going to figure out who's in charge pretty quickly. And not just the coach. You're going to figure out on the team who's the best player and where I fit. And that's what makes middle school so much fun for boys, is you're figuring that stuff out. So in the home, what mom is going to do is mom's going to keep everyone together. That is such a gift. And so even when little Johnny acts up or little Susie isn't doing good in school or whatever it is, mom is she's the glue. Dad is the one that puts stop the nonsense. So you back talk to mom. Don't worry about mom. Worry about dad. And so the idea of authority, the kids will mention that they were, particularly when they were little, Angela talks about this all the time, she was scared to death of me. Because I would raise my voice, and I wouldn't put up with stuff. Whereas my wife is much more of the, I'll get down to your level, we'll snuggle, and I'll lay down with you at night. She's wonderful at that, and I'm grateful for it. But men, as a general rule, dads are a general rule, are better at the authority part. Now, so our house worked that we were afraid of both parents, no doubt. I mean, mom was not afraid to lay the smack down. Yeah. So my sister basically babysat us. We were poor, so my sister was a babysitter during the summer months. And if sis had to call mom, that was a problem. If it was so bad, mom felt she had to interrupt my father at work, and you do not interrupt my father at work for nothing. We knew we were in big trouble, and we get a whooping from both. And we get and you didn't want that. I mean, Dad was stronger.
All of it, too, is that the government encourages single moms to stay single because you have the dad in the family, even so they're working, they're getting more money with the mom being poor.
Yeah, that is a challenge, and it's always been a challenge between generosity and encouraging responsibility. And I don't know what the balance is. But it isn't just with homes with kids. One of the issues I've noticed over the years, so let's say you have a widow and a widower, and they have sort of a pension retirement system set up. Once they marry, that affects that. I don't know all the details. And I've had couples come to me and say, we want to live together and not get married because we lose benefits. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but if I had a 20-year-old say something like that to me, I would not be very kind.
I got more benefits.
Yeah.
I don't see how that works.
Yeah.
Better off.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in an effort to help, sometimes helping can have unforeseen consequences. I've given this example before. Some scholars, sociology and whatnot, have looked at the drop in the size of families, the number of kids we have, to car seat laws. How many car seats can you fit in your car? 2. And now I don't know if you can prove that or not, but I can tell you that when we had our second kid, I was looking at that back seat thinking, I don't know, we can't afford another car. And I don't know where we're going to put another baby. I mean, it is reality. There are unforeseen consequences to a lot of our public policy.
The dad in the family, even so you think you're making more money off the government supporting single moms, but having the dad and that support of that family would drive them to be better and make more.
Yes. So that's an interesting thought. So studies have shown, and they've come out. So we get a lot about the wage gap. I'm not interested on the political side of this stuff. But if you actually break it down, so let's take single men and let's take, say, single women. There is no wage gap. The wage gap is whenever you add married men. So if you just took married men, how much money are they making? It is light years above women. Why is that? Because we are strongly motivated. It's like, we can be as egalitarian and feminist as we want to be. At the end of the day, men are expected to provide and protect. At the end of the day, it's in our bones. I think it's in our DNA. God put that there. That men need responsibility, women...
To make more to be financial protector.
Yes. So one of the things Amanda and I have talked a lot about is she works. For one, she gets to do art. She loves it. But also because the kids are in private school. But one of the things we've talked about is if my wife has the freedom to quit, I think she'll keep working, especially while the kids are in school. Because she gets to be right there with the kids. That's a great benefit. But if her job becomes we can't survive without it, our relationship changes dramatically. Dramatically. But no one has ever asked, how are you getting through the day? Because everyone depends on you to feed them.
We have a new social problem where people need to work to keep up with their social lifestyle.
Yeah, so that's the dual income. What began as
We
an...
can't quit because we bought this house that needs two incomes. We got these cars that need two incomes.
Yeah,
But if you bought all that, so knowing you could survive, even so you have two incomes, like, well, let's buy what we can afford on one.
that's a major challenge.
That's a new American thing. You buy stuff for two incomes. If somebody quits,
Yeah, you lose the house, lose the cars, lose the lifestyle. I encourage young couples, best thing for you to be is poor when you start out. And settle into the house you can afford, the lifestyle you can afford, all that. And so that when the babies come, most wives that get married, especially now, when they get pregnant, they seriously start thinking about staying home. That's a good thing. Like Amanda stayed home when the kids were little. That was wonderful for us. It's not always possible. I get that. Amanda works now. She worked when we got married. I do remember when she was pregnant, she made it clear, I'm not going back to work. And I was making $150 as a youth pastor a week and $150 working retail a week. I don't know if you know much about finances. It's hard to feed a family at $300 a week. And that's if I had my hours. Sometimes my hours were cut. Yeah. Now imagine doing it. Then I got a job making $260 a week. That was my salary. That was it. That was my full-time job. Now, it came with a house. That was nice. But it was hard. It was hard.
A lot of that's controlled by your appetite, too. I'm not talking about eating.
Right. Yes. The idea of the American dream is,
Not acceptable and that stuff.
yeah.
My wife and I, we got married, and I think I was making $70 a month military and paying $60 a month for rent.
Yeah.
That wasn't gonna last long.
Yeah.
And then she got a job, and she's making 3 times what I was. But I wasn't jealous of that.
Right.
And I saw that break up a family that grew up in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
She was buying trucks and things. She was an engineer, and he was a farmer or something. She was dragging in the double. He couldn't stand it.
Yeah. I got an example. I'll save for another time. But
and it's okay if I were to make more than him. I did at one point.
Yeah.
It was okay.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes that's just the way the maths. That's fine.
But it's everybody. Why does it matter?
Yeah, look, I'm a preacher. Like, Matt and I agreed we were going to be poor, and East Franklin's been really generous. But we accepted that going in, and the Lord's been kind to us. But all of that is, particularly when kids grow up in that sort of home where there is a equality in the sense that we're all equal, we're in this together, but also a hierarchy. The way you talk to your mother matters. The way you talk to your father matters. I remember when the kids were little, we were teaching them how to open doors for people. That sort of dance we do. So if you have someone behind you and you get to the door first, you open it for them. And if there's 2 doors, they're probably going to open the next door for you. That little dance we do. I remember one of the kids is just, doing this. I remember grabbing them, pull them back. And so you're going to stand here and hold this door for these people. And it was like an older lady. And she goes, I'm just so glad to see someone teaching these kids basic manners. Like, yeah. It's an expectation. Like, this is not an option for him. It is vitally important for the health of a nation for us to learn the idea of authority. It's vitally important. And it doesn't begin in school. It begins in the home. So look, my wife's teacher, how much easier would the lives of teachers be if kids understood respect and honor?
Did your kids ever tell you or your wife to shut up?
No, let me tell you. They wouldn't remember saying that. They wouldn't remember. So our kids, when they were little, I don't want to share a lot of us recording, but when they were little, they each had their moment of resistance. And I remember it was those moments when I told my wife, this is daddy stuff. You're not going to like what I'm going to do. But if we deal with this now, we won't have to deal with it later. And I'm lucky that both kids favor my wife in terms of personality. No one in my wife's family are rambunctious, loud, rebellious. My family, all of us are. And so we're fortunate, genetically in that. But that was not tolerated in my household growing up. And not that we didn't rebel against it. Mom and Dad would not put up with it. I had a teenager recently, not connected to church or anything. They insisted on having the last word. And I insisted on them not having the last word. Like, there are a few things that just rub me the wrong way. Then some punk kid thinks that they're the one in control. And I'm just not going to put up with that. I'm sorry. Like, call me an old man if you want to. I just don't put up with that stuff. If you can't get that thing right, when the police officer pulls you over, he is not looking for a conversation. So when he asks, do you know why I pulled you over? You say, I'm sorry, sir. I realized I was speeding. Here's the information you need. Like, there's not a time for a conversation. You own your mistakes. You own those sort of things. That begins in the home. You pull that out of the society, it breaks apart. If you don't believe me, turn on the telly.
Now, if they can't learn to be a citizen in the home, they're not going to be a citizen outside.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Yeah, I mean, the issues we have in society stem from right there. Right there. So when we try to be friends with our kids rather than parents with our kids, we are playing into this narrative that is really harming them and harming us. Here's the last point before we just on the command. The command is illustrated throughout the Bible. So think of we can't chase these rabbits. Noah had kids who honored him, and he had a son who dishonored him. One is cursed, the others are blessed. Think of Cain and Abel. Really, it's Cain and Seth. One dishonors parents by his actions, the other honor them. Absalom and David. So David is dishonored by his children. David is a great king. He's a terrible father. And so he's dishonored by his kids. We're doing Solomon at the Capitol. So we did where Solomon had to have his half-brother executed because he was a threat to the throne. And so here you have the dishonoring of a father because of what's going on with their kids. This is throughout the Bible. This pops up over and over again. I'm just going to read these to you just to kind of wear you out and prove you this is a consistent theme in the Bible, Old and New Testament. Exodus 21, whoever curses his father or his mother shall be put to death. I'm not going to give you any context. We're not going to exegete it at all. Notice that to dishonor, to curse parents was considered a capital crime. Now, I'm not advocating we do this. But understand that it is very, very serious. Deuteronomy 27, cursed be anyone who dishonors his father or mother. And all the people said amen. Deuteronomy 21, if a man has a stubborn, rebellious son who will not obey the voice of his father or mother, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him, bring him out to the elders of the city at the gate, the place where he lives, and they shall say to the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. It's interesting. How do they define rebellious and stubborn? It is someone who lacks self-control. They eat and drink too much. The appetites. Now, I don't think this just means addiction. I think it means much more than drinking and overeating. I think there is no self-control with this person. Then all the men it's interesting. It's the men of the city who take responsibility here. Right, because there's equality, there's also hierarchy, and that men must be the ones who lead. As a general rule, that's the way to. So the men of the city stone him to death with stones. So you shall purge the evil from your midst, and all Israel shall hear and fear. What does it say? That this is of highest importance that we honor mom and dad. Now this is a foreign world to us, and I'm not saying we go to the point we start stoning teenagers at all. But what if we just paused and said as a nation, you know what, maybe moms and dads are the most important thing about any society. Not the money you make, not the career you have. The most important thing in society is the responsibility of mom and dad. And we should do all that we can to help them, support them, and help them lead. What if that is the attitude we had? Leviticus 29, for anyone who curses his father or mother shall surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or mother. His blood is upon him. Leviticus 19:3, every one of you shall revere his mother and his father, and you shall keep my Sabbath. It's interesting, isn't it, that you have the fourth commandment and the fifth commandment, the last of the commandments regarding loving God, the first commandments regarding loving neighbor. It's not an accident.
Also uses the term several things out there, reading that you shall enter into my rest, which is the same statement.
And you will never enter rest by violating the Sabbath and violating, disrespecting parents. Because a home that is rebellious is a home not at rest.
That's also what he told the Israelites
Mm-hmm.
about entering into his rest.
Yeah, yeah. Matthew 15:4. So just Jesus. For God commanded, honor your father and mother, and whoever reviles father and mother must surely die. This is Jesus. Jesus quoting that. Now, there's a context here that we can't go into. Proverbs 20:20 is all over Proverbs. Remember, Proverbs is a father writing to his son. The whole thing. And so when you read Proverbs 31 about the virtuous wife, this is the sort of wife you should look for, son. I think I've done this here. We on Mother's Day, we did the virtuous wife. Father's Day, we did the virtuous husband, both from Proverbs 31. Because the context is a father to a son. So if one curses his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in utter darkness. 2 Timothy 3, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy. All of these are related. Ungrateful kids are kids who don't honor mom and dad. Right? If you're grateful for mom and dad, you can be grateful just about everything else. I mean, it's just, because mom and dad are going to teach you, hey, a job's a good thing, be grateful for that. Well, I'm thankful for mom and dad. I am going to be thankful for my job. Do I wish it paid more money? Yeah. Do I wish it was something I enjoyed? Yeah. But I respect mom and dad. I got a job, they're right. Dad worked hard all those years at a job he didn't like to put food on the table. I can do the same.
You know what, the new thing that I have seen that it's a car, the family car, we gotta see what the kids want. Make the kids comfortable with a family car.
Yeah.
I have to get this new car because of the kids, or because of the baby. We have to get this new car because of this. I'm like, I grew up, we had a two-door car. You had to move the seats for it to climb. There was no nice sliding minivan with a DVD player.
Yeah, you adjusted.
What they have.
It is bizarre we would ask the opinion of a 7-year-old about making important financial and family decisions. Where to live.
Teenagers, what kind of car do you want?
Yeah.
No, this is what you get.
It is interesting. We've had these conversations with our kids before, and there are times with the kids, like, because my wife, again, being the good mother she is, she loves input. And I love that about her. Don't get me wrong, I love that about her. I couldn't care less. And so we'll often make decisions where we go on vacation, Now, we may include them. So years ago...
Them and what they like, but you're not...
Yes, so this year we went to Virginia. We graciously had Space Thanks to the Irwins to go to, and we were really excited. I came and said, look, here's the thing. We have this opportunity. Wife and I have been talking about it. We're going to Virginia. I'll do everything I can to make sure it's a great family vacation. But we're going. Now, and I've also told Amanda, like, we've kind of reached the age with the kids that if they don't want to go, I'm not taking them. like if you're going to be a problem on family vacation, stay home. I'm sorry.
It's going to be Universal Studios every time, right?
Right, yeah.
Kids don't have anything to relate to. I know we went to California and went to see the presidents made out of rock.
Yeah.
First thing
I don't
we
think
did
that's in
was
California.
take them on a whitewater thing, family whitewater.
Mhm.
We don't want to go. We don't want to go. Dad, can we go on the long trip? After we went,
Yeah.
Yeah.
go on the helicopter.
Yeah.
Fine and everything. Finally got on the helicopter, so we didn't want to be left in the car.
Hmm.
Hey, let's do this again.
Yeah, that's a fun thing about being a parent. Yeah.
They have no basis for what
Yeah.
they're talking about.
All their best experiences were because of leadership from mom and dad. Yeah, that is cool. Those long trips are great.
They would,
Good thing
yeah.
on this finance thing,
Hmm.
my brother's first wife was one of 15 kids and they were raised on welfare.
Hmm.
And they all turned out great.
Yeah.
Education, very productive in the communities.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
God provides some weird way.
Yeah, we depended on some government assistance, when we were in Brett County, but we understood that this was to help us feed the kids, and then we made necessary decisions. But Yeah, so I'm not against government assistance. I don't know what the balance is. Yeah, yeah.
Check if we had enough money to raise kids, we just got kids.
Right, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the way it was, back today. I'll give you two more. Proverbs 23:22. Listen to your father who gave you life. Do not despise your mother when she is old. Again, the Bible is clear. You need father and mother. I know it's not always possible, but ideally. Proverbs 30:17. The eye that mocks a father and scorns to obey a mother will be picked out by the ravens of the valley and eaten by the vultures. Now, that's a very graphic way of putting it. And that is that those who do not honor father and mother are fools, basically. And that is evident. I just want to mention the promise real quick. So it's honor father and mother that your days may be long in the land that your God is giving you. Now, a lot of people think what this means is if you're good to your parents, you get to live a long time. That's not always the case. Many people who have honored mom and dad did not live such long lives. But what you have here in this proverbial statement is when parents are honored, societies thrive. When parents are dishonored, society is doomed to self-destruction. Again, if this doesn't sound familiar, go walk outside. The undermining of parental authority has extensive effects. If parents have no authority, again, neither will teachers, principals, police officers, social workers, doctors, scientists, experts, authorities, or community leaders. Why is it that we do not trust institutions and authorities? Because we cannot trust and we do not honor mom and dad. So the language here, again, is that God is shepherding Israel to become a nation. And at the center of the main 10 commands, their Bill of Rights, if you will, is this idea that if you do not honor father and mother, you will not thrive. I'm taking to a land flowing milk and honey, and a society may have access to all the resources and have everything going for it, but if they cannot get the home right, it doesn't matter. This is still true. If you want to, America has proven it has the resources, it has the ability to just be the greatest nation of all time, the most powerful nation of all time. But if we get this wrong, none of that matters. You cannot correct this problem from the schools, from the government, or from law. You can't fix it. We have to decide that the family is the most important thing.
Well, I know, I was thinking, with the Charlie Kirk thing, you see Erica, I bet in the short years to come, she will find another godly man.
Yeah, very possible, yeah.
And she believes in that, having that father figure for her children.
Yeah,
Not Charlie Moore, he's passed
Right.
away.
yeah.
I believe she'll want a good father figure in that home, for, if anything, for her children and to leave her.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be able to withstand. She has a good group of people around her, but
Yeah.
she'll need that level
Yeah.
of father figure and husband leader, spiritual
Yeah.
leader in her home.
And it's a good example where ideally you have mom and dad, husband and wife. But what happens when tragedy strikes and that's taken out? Humans have known throughout history not what the answer is, but what your best options are. The best options are immediate and extended family, the immediate and extended community. What lies at the core of all of those things? It is the local church. And it is in the local church where they're going to be surrounded by good, godly men and women. I think he had a son and a daughter. So if you read Paul in Titus 2 or 3, he'll say, godly women mentor young women. Godly men mentor the young men. Why? Because there's a host of things that can lead to a broken home. They're not always nefarious. Like this situation, a tragedy struck. That doesn't mean that this is a hopeless situation. So you have a support system.
She was without that strong spiritual leader and protector Charlie was to her and her
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And I think she'll.
Interviews, though, she's no weakling.
No, she
Right.
but-
Right. Yeah.
no,
But she yeah.
but she had a strong, godly husband next to her to
Yeah.
help her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think she understands as a Christian woman, her children and herself will need that.
Yeah, and their faith is going to be critical. So you have family swooping in. So a good uncle, I'm an uncle. I love being an uncle. I got an uncle to 2 kids. I think it's the coolest thing in the world. On man aside, I'm an uncle to 40 kids. But being an uncle is cool. I don't know yet, but right now it may be cooler than being a granddad. I'm not a granddad. I think when you're a granddad, you're worthless. I mean, let's be honest, grandparents, you're pretty worthless. Being an uncle, you're cool. You know,
But
you-
that's
you-
different than
yeah.
having a
Right.
in the home.
But when that's taken, there's family support, there's community support, and that's what you need.
Yeah, right now she has that, but I think you'll come to see, she will.
Yeah.
You know, there's no criteria on mom and dad in this scripture.
Yes. So, but that doesn't mean that there aren't criteria, mom and dad. This is where the New Testament's really help. Old Testament too, is it provides a lot for. Hey, little buddy. It provides a lot on what does a godly home look like, and it begins with a clear understanding of the faith. So Paul will come and he'll talk to men about provoking your kids and what that looks like, and we've gone through that list quite a bit. So here the idea is that submission row and authority row of mom and dad. But then the Bible also come in and say, okay, but that doesn't mean that there aren't responsibilities and limits to what it is that you do. And the Bible provides really good insight. Again, the book of Proverbs is from a father to a son. And so a good father is one that will instill in his children wisdom. Same thing with a mother, instill wisdom and whatnot. And so the Bible comes at it both ends. Here, a society, in order for it to thrive, the home really matters. All right, we're past. I know that. So how about have we missed anything else? I think this was a really practical one. Coming in, I thought, oh yeah, honor mom and dad. Yeah, I'll make the jokes. But then you really study and thinking, well, why is that at the center of the Ten Commandments? Oh, because it's at the center of the Jewish society, and therefore every society. We get this wrong, we fall apart. Guess what's happened over the last 50, 60 years? We've gotten this wrong, and we've fallen apart. Okay, how about we close out in prayer? I'll pray